The giver should be thankful. While Seietsu was the master of Engaku in Kamakura, he required larger quarters. Those in which he was teaching were overcrowded. Umeza Seibe, a merchant of Edo, decided to donate 500 pieces of gold called Ryo toward the construction of a more commodious school. This money he brought to the teacher. Seisetsu said, "All right, I will take it." Umezu gave Seisetsu the sack of gold, but he was dissatisfied with the attitude of the teacher. One might live a whole year on 3 Ryo, and the merchant had not even been thanked. "In that sack are 500 Ryo, hinted Umeza. "You told me that before," replied Seisetsu. "Even if I am a wealthy merchant, 500 Ryo is a lot of money," said Umezu. "Do you want me to thank you for it?" asked Seisetsu. "You ought to," replied Umetsu. "Why should I?" inquired Seisetsu. "The giver should be thankful. It will pass." A student of Zen went to his meditation teacher and said, "My meditation is horrible. I feel so distracted, my legs ache, and I'm constantly falling asleep. It's just horrible." "It will pass," the teacher said. A week later, the student came back to his teacher. "My meditation is wonderful. I feel so aware, so peaceful, so alive. It's just wonderful." "It will pass," the teacher said. The true path. Just before Ninakawa passed away, the Zen master Ikkyu visited him. "Shall I lead you on?" Ikkyu asked. Ninakawa replied, "I came here alone, and I go alone. What help could you be to me?" Ikkyu answered, "If you think you really come and go, that is your delusion. Let me show you the path, on which there is no coming and going." With his words, Ikkyu had revealed the path so clearly that Ninakawa smiled and passed away. The gates of paradise. A soldier named Nobushige came to Hakuin and asked, "Is there really a paradise and a hell?" "Who are you?" inquired Hakuin. "I am a samurai," the warrior replied. "You a soldier?" exclaimed Hakuin. "What kind of ruler would have you as his guard? Your face looks like that of a beggar." Nobushige became so angry that he began to draw his sword. But Hakuin continued, "So you have a sword. Your weapon is probably much too dull to cut off my head." As Nobushige drew his sword, Hakuin remarked, "Here, open the gates of hell." At these words, the samurai, perceiving the master's discipline, sheathed his sword and vowed. "Here, open the gates of paradise," said Hakuin. Arresting the stone Buddha. A merchant carrying 50 rolls of cotton goods stopped to rest from the heat. He fell asleep, and when he awoke, his goods had disappeared. He immediately reported the matter to the police. A judge named Ooka opened court to investigate the missing goods. "That stone Buddha must have stolen the goods," concluded the judge. "He failed his holy duty. Arrest him." The police arrested the stone Buddha and carried it into the court. A noisy crowd followed the statue, curious to learn what kind of sentence the judge imposed. When Ooka appeared, he rebuked the boisterous audience. "What right have you people to appear before the court? You are in contempt of court and subject to a fine and imprisonment." The people hastened to apologize. "I shall have to impose a fine on you," said the judge, "but I will remit it, provided each one brings cotton goods. Within 3 days, anyone failing to do this will be arrested." One of the rolls was recognized by the merchant as his own, and thus the thief was easily discovered. The merchant recovered his goods, and the cotton rolls returned. Soldiers of humanity. A division of the Japanese army was engaged in a sham battle. Some officers found it necessary to make their headquarters in Gasan's temple. Gasan told his cook, "Let the officers have only the same simple fare we eat." This made the army men angry, as they were used to very deferential treatment. One came to Gasan and said, "Who do you think we are? We are soldiers, sacrificing our lives for our country. Why don't you treat us accordingly?" Gasan answered sternly, "Who do you think we are? We are soldiers of humanity, aiming to save all sentient beings." The officers stood in silence, pondering Gasan's profound words. Gudo and the Emperor. Emperor Goyose was studying Zen under Gudo. He inquired, "In Zen, this very mind is Buddha. Is this correct?" Gudo answered, "If I say yes, you will think you understand without understanding. If I say no, I would be contradicting a fact which you may understand quite well." On another day, the emperor asked Gudo, "Where does the enlightened man go when he dies?" Gudo answered, "I know not." "Why don't you know?" asked the emperor. "Because I have not died yet," replied Gudo. The emperor hesitated to inquire further about these things his mind could not grasp. So Gudo beat the floor with his hand as if to awaken him, and the emperor was enlightened. The emperor respected Zen and old Gudo more than ever after his enlightenment, and he even permitted Gudo to wear his hat in the palace in winter. When Gudo was over 80, he used to fall asleep in the midst of his lecture, and the emperor would quietly retire to another room so his beloved teacher might enjoy the rest his aging body required. In the hands of destiny, a great Japanese warrior named Nobunaga decided to attack the enemy, although he had only 1/10 the number of men. He knew that he would win, but his soldiers were in doubt. On the way, he stopped at a Shinto shrine and told his men, "After I visit the shrine, I will toss a coin. If heads comes, we will win. If tails, we will lose. Destiny holds us in her hand." Nobunaga entered the shrine and offered a silent prayer. He came forth and tossed a coin. Heads appeared. His soldiers were so eager to fight that they won their battle easily. "No one can change the hand of destiny," his attendant told him after the battle. "Indeed not," said Nobunaga, showing a coin which had been doubled, with heads facing either way. Killing. Gasan instructed his adherents one day, "Those who speak against killing and who desire to spare the lives of all conscious beings are right. It is good to protect even animals and insects. But what about those persons who kill time? What about those who are destroying wealth and those who destroy political economy? We should not overlook them. Furthermore, what of the one who preaches without enlightenment? He is killing Buddhism." Kasan Sweat. Kasan was asked to officiate at the funeral of a provincial lord. He had never met lords and nobles before, so he was nervous. When the ceremony started, Kasan sweat. Afterwards, when he had returned, he gathered his pupils together. Kasan confessed that he was not yet qualified to be a teacher. He lacked the sameness of bearing in the world of fame. Then Kasan resigned and became a pupil of another master. 8 years later, he returned to his former pupils, enlightened. Buddha's Zen. I consider the positions of kings and rulers as that of dust motes. I observe treasures of gold and gems as so many bricks and pebbles. I look upon the finest silken robes as tattered rags. I see myriad worlds of the universe as small seeds of fruit. And the greatest lake in India as a drop of oil on my foot. I perceive the teachings of the world to be the illusion of magicians. I discern the highest conception of emancipation as a golden brocade in a dream, and view the holy path of the illuminated ones as flowers appearing in one's eyes. I see meditation as a pillar of a mountain, nirvana as a nightmare of daytime. I look upon the judgment of right and wrong as the serpentine dance of a dragon, and the rise and fall of beliefs as but traces left by the four seasons. The most valuable thing in the world. Sozan, a Chinese Zen master, was asked by a student, "What is the most valuable thing in the world?" The master replied, "The head of a dead cat." Why is the head of a dead cat the most valuable thing in the world? Inquired the student. Sozan replied, "Because no one can name its price." Learning to be silent. The pupils of the Tendai school used to study meditation before Zen entered Japan. 4 of them, who were intimate friends, promised one another to observe 7 days of silence. On the first day, all were silent. Their meditation had begun auspiciously, but when night came and the oil lamps were growing dim, one of the pupils could not help exclaiming to a servant, "Fix those lamps." The second pupil was surprised to hear the first one talk. "We are not supposed to say a word," he remarked. "You two are stupid. Why did you talk?" asked the third. "I am the only one who has not talked," concluded the fourth pupil. The Blockhead Lord. 2 Zen teachers, Daigu and Gudo, were invited to visit a lord. Upon arriving, Gudo said to the lord, "You are wise by nature and have an inborn ability to learn Zen." "Nonsense," said Daigu. "Why do you flatter this blockhead? He may be a lord, but he doesn't know anything of Zen." So, instead of building a temple for Gudo, the Lord built it for Daigu and studied Zen with him. True reformation. Ryokan devoted his life to the study of Zen. One day, he heard that his nephew was spending his money on a courtesan. Inasmuch as the nephew had taken Ryokan's place, the relatives asked Ryokan to do something. Ryokan had to travel a long way to visit his nephew. The nephew seemed pleased to meet his uncle again and invited him to remain overnight. All night, Ryokan sat in meditation. As he was departing, he said, "I must be getting old. My hand shakes so. Will you help me tie the string of my straw sandal?" The nephew helped him willingly. "Thank you," finished Ryokan. "Take good care of yourself." Then Ryokan left, never mentioning a word about the courtesan or the complaints. But from that morning on, the dissipations of the nephew ended. "Show me your temper." A Zen student came to Benkei and complained, "Master, I have an ungovernable temper. How can I cure it?" "You have something very strange," replied Benkei. "Let me see what you have." "Just now I cannot show it to you," replied the other. "When can you show it to me?" asked Benkei. "It arises unexpectedly," replied the student. Then concluded Benkei, "It must not be your own true nature. If it were, you could show it to me at any time. When you were born, you did not have it, and your parents did not give it to you. Think that over." The stone mind. Hojin, a Chinese Zen teacher, lived alone in a small temple. One day, 4 traveling monks appeared and asked if they might make a fire in his yard to warm themselves. While they were building the fire, Hojin heard them arguing about subjectivity and objectivity. He joined them and said, "There is a big stone. Do you consider it to be inside or outside your mind?" One of the monks replied, "From the Buddhist viewpoint, everything is an objectification of mind, so I would say that the stone is inside my mind." "Your head must feel very heavy," observed Hojin. if you are carrying around a stone like that in your mind. Real prosperity consists not in having much, but in having enough, plus the peace of mind that goes with it. A rich man asked Sengai to write for his family's continued prosperity. He wanted it treasured from generation to generation. Sengai obtained a large sheet of paper and began to write. He wrote, "Father dies, son dies, grandson dies." The rich man became very angry and exclaimed, "What is this joke? I asked you to write for my family's happiness," he protested. "No joke is intended," Sengai calmly explained. "If your son dies before you, it grieves you deeply. If your grandson dies before your son, both would be broken-hearted. If your family passes away in this natural order, I call this real prosperity." The rich man understood the wisdom of Sengai's words. Just go to sleep. Gasan sat at the bedside of Tekisui 3 days before his passing. Tekisui had already chosen him as his successor. A temple recently had burned, and Gasan was busy rebuilding the structure. Tekisui asked him, "What are you going to do when you get the temple rebuilt?" "When your sickness is over, we want you to speak there," said Gasan. "Suppose I do not live until then? Then we will get someone else," replied Gasan. "Suppose you cannot find anyone," continued Tekisui. Gasan answered loudly, "Don't ask such foolish questions. Just go to sleep. Nothing exists." Yamaoka Teshu, as a young student of Zen, visited one master after another. He called upon Dokuan of Shikoku. Desiring to show his attainment, he said, "The mind, Buddha, and sentient beings, after all, do not exist. The true nature of phenomena is emptiness. There is no realization, no delusion. There is no sage, no mediocrity. There is no giving and nothing to be received." Dokuan, who was smoking quietly, said nothing. Suddenly, he whacked Yamaoka with his bamboo pipe. This made the youth quite angry. "If nothing exists," inquired Dokuan, "where did this anger come from?" "No work, no food." Hayoko, the Chinese Zen master, used to labor with his pupils even at the age of 80, trimming the gardens, cleaning the grounds, and pruning the trees. The pupils felt sorry to see the old teacher working so hard, but they knew he would not listen to their advice to stop, so they hid away his tools. That day, the master did not eat. The next day, he did not eat, nor the next. "He may be angry because we have hidden his tools," the pupils surmised. "We had better put them back." The day they did, the teacher worked and ate the same as before. In the evening, he instructed them, "No work, no food. Time to die." Ikkyu, the Zen master, was very clever. Even as a boy, his teacher had a precious teacup, a rare antique. Ikkyu happened to break this cup and was greatly perplexed. Hearing the footsteps of his teacher, he held the pieces of the cup behind him. When the master appeared, Ikkyu asked, "Why do people have to die?" "This is natural," explained the older man. "Everything has to die and has just so long to live." Ikkyu, producing the shattered cup, added, "It was time for your cup to die." 3 kinds of disciples. A Zen master named Geten lived in the latter part of the Tokugawa era. He used to say, "There are 3 kinds of disciples. Those who impart Zen to others, those who maintain the temples and shrines, and then there are the rice bags and the clothes hangers." Gasan expressed the same idea. When he was studying under Tekisui, his teacher was very severe. Sometimes he even beat him. Other pupils would not stand this kind of teaching and quit. Gasan remained, saying, "A poor disciple utilizes a teacher's influence. A fair disciple admires a teacher's kindness. A good disciple grows strong under a teacher's discipline." How to write a Chinese poem. A well-known Japanese poet was asked how to compose a Chinese poem. The usual Chinese poem is 4 lines. He explains, the first line contains the initial phase. The second line, the continuation of that phase. The third line turns from this subject and begins a new one. And the fourth line brings the first 3 lines together. A popular Japanese song illustrates this. 2 daughters of a silk merchant live in Kyoto. The elder is 20, the younger 18. The soldier may kill with his sword, but these girls slay men with their eyes. Midnight excursion. Many pupils were studying meditation under the Zen master Sengai. One pupil used to arise at night, climb over the temple wall, and go to town on a pleasure jaunt. Sengai, inspecting the dormitory, found this pupil missing one night and also discovered the high stool he had used to scale the wall. Sengai removed the stool and stood there in its place. When the wanderer returned, he put his feet on the master's head, discovering what he had done. He was aghast. Sengai said, "It is very chilly in the early morning. Do be careful not to catch cold yourself." The pupil never went out at night again. A letter to a dying man. Basui wrote the following letter to one of his disciples who was about to die. "The essence of your mind is not born, so it will never die. It is not an existence which is perishable. It is not an emptiness, which is a mere void. It has neither color nor form. It enjoys no pleasures and suffers no pains. I know you are very ill. Like a good Zen student, you are facing that sickness squarely. You may not know exactly who is suffering, but question yourself. What is the essence of this mind? Think only of this. You will need no more. Covet nothing. Your end, which is endless, is as a snowflake dissolving in the pure air." Publishing the Sutrans. Tetsugen, a devoted Zen Buddhist in Japan, wanted to publish Buddha's teachings. These teachings were only available in Chinese. He planned a monumental task. He envisioned 7,000 copies printed using wood blocks, a huge undertaking. Tetsugen started by traveling, collecting donations for this ambitious project. Some sympathizers gave gold, but most gave small coins. He thanked all. After 10 years, he had enough money to begin. But the Uji River overflowed. Famine struck. Tetsugen spent the book funds to save starving people from starvation. He then began his work of collecting funds for the sutras once more. Several years later, an epidemic spread across the land. Tetsugen gave away his funds again. He helped his people again. For a 3rd time, he started collecting donations. After 20 years of effort, his wish was finally fulfilled. The sutras were printed. The printing blocks for the first edition can be seen today in Kyoto. The Japanese proudly tell their children Tetsugen made 3 sets of sutras. The first 2 invisible sets are said to surpass even the last visible one. The tunnel. Zenkai, son of a samurai, journeyed to Edo and became retainer to a high official. He fell in love with the official's wife and was eventually discovered. In self-defense, he drew his sword and slew the official. Then he ran away with the wife. Both of them later became thieves. But the woman was so greedy that Zenkai grew disgusted. Finally, leaving her, he journeyed far away to the province of Buzen. becoming a wandering mendicant. To atone for his past, Zenkai resolved to accomplish some good deed. Knowing of a dangerous road over a cliff, he resolved to cut a tunnel through the mountain. Begging for food in the daytime, Zenkai worked at night, digging his tunnel. When 30 years had gone by, the tunnel was 2,280 feet long, 20 feet high, and 30 feet wide. 2 years before completion, the official son found Zenkai out and came to kill him in revenge. "I will give you my life willingly. Only let me finish this work." After he had helped for more than a year, he came to admire Zenkai's strong will and character. "Now cut off my head." "How can I cut off my own teacher's head?" asked the younger man with tears. Gessen was an artist monk. Before he would start a drawing or painting, he always insisted upon being paid in advance. His fees were high. He was known as the stingy artist. A geisha once gave him a commission for a painting. "How much can you pay?" inquired Gessen. "Whatever you charge," replied the girl. "But I want you to do the work in front of me." So on a certain day, Gessen was called by the geisha. She was holding a feast for her patron. Gessen, with fine brushwork, did the painting. When it was completed, he asked the highest sum of his time. He received his pay. Then the geisha turned to her patron saying, "All this artist wants is money. His paintings are fine, but his mind is dirty. Money has caused it to become muddy. Drawn by such a filthy mind, his work is not fit to exhibit. It is just about good enough for one of my petticoats." Removing her skirt, she then asked Gessen to do another picture on the back of her petticoat. "How much will you pay?" asked Gessen. "Oh, any amount," answered the girl. Gessen named a fancy price, painted the picture in the manner requested, and went away. It was learned later that Gessen had these reasons for desiring money. A ravaging famine often visited his province. The rich would not help the poor. Gessen had a secret warehouse, unknown to anyone, which he kept filled with grain, prepared for these emergencies. From his village to the national shrine, the road was in very poor condition. Many travelers suffered while traversing it. He desired to build a better road. His teacher had passed away without realizing his wish to build a temple. Gessen wished to complete this temple for him. After Gessen had accomplished his 3 wishes, he threw away his brushes and artist's materials, and, retiring to the mountains, never painted again. The one-eyed argument. A wandering monk can stay if he wins a debate on Buddhism. If defeated, he must leave. 2 brothers lived in a northern temple. The elder learned, the younger stupid with one eye. A wandering monk arrived. He asked for lodging, challenging them to a debate on sublime teachings. The elder, tired from study, told the younger one to debate. In silence, he advised. So the young monk and stranger sat at the shrine, beginning their silent dialogue. Soon, the traveler went to the elder, saying, "Your young brother defeated me." "Relate the dialogue to me," said the elder. The traveler explained their gestures. "First, I held up 1 finger, Buddha. He held up 2, Buddha, his teaching. I held up 3. He clenched his fist, showing realization. He won, so I must leave." The traveler departed, accepting defeat gracefully. "Where is that fellow?" asked the younger monk running in. "I'll beat him up." "Tell me the subject of the debate," the elder asked. The younger monk explained. "He held up 1 finger, insulting me about my 1 eye. I held up 2, for his 2. He held up 3 fingers, implying we have 3 eyes. I got mad, ready to punch, but he ran out, and that was the end of it. The stranger fled. The taste of Banzo's sword. Matayoro Yagyu was the son of a famous swordsman. His father disowned him. Matajuro went to Mount Futara and found the famous swordsman Banzo. Banzo confirmed his father's judgment. You cannot fulfill the requirements. But if I work hard, how many years will it take to become a master? The rest of your life, replied Banzo. I cannot wait that long, said Matajuro. I am willing to pass through any hardship if only you will teach me. Oh, maybe 10 years, Banzo relented. My father is getting old and soon I must take care of him. If I work far more intensively, how long would it take me? Oh, maybe 30 years. Why is that? First you say 10 years and now 30. I will undergo any hardship. Very well, declared the youth, understanding at last that he was being rebuked for his impatience. Matajuro was told never to speak of fencing and never to touch a sword. He cooked, cleaned, and gardened. 3 years passed. Still, Matajuro labored on, sad about his future, not yet learning. But one day, Banzo crept up behind him and gave him a terrific blow with a wooden sword. The following day, when Matajuro was cooking rice, Banzo again sprang upon him unexpectedly. After that, day and night, Matajuro had to defend himself from unexpected thrusts. Not a moment passed that he did not have to think of the taste of Banzo's sword. He learned so rapidly. He brought smiles to the face of his master. Matajuro became the greatest swordsman in the land. The Ghost and the Beans. A young wife fell sick and was about to die. I love you so much, she told her husband. I do not want to leave you. Do not go from me. If you do, I will return as a ghost and cause you endless trouble. Soon the wife passed away. The husband respected her last wish for 3 months, but then he met another woman and fell in love with her. They became engaged. Immediately after the engagement, a ghost appeared every night to the man, blaming him. The ghost was clever too. She told him exactly what had transpired between himself and his sweetheart. Whenever he gave his fiancée a present, the ghost would describe it in detail. She would even repeat conversations, and it so annoyed the man that he could not sleep. Someone advised him to take his problem to a Zen master who lived close to the village. At length, in despair, the poor man went to him for help. Your former wife became a ghost and knows everything you do, commented the master. Whatever you do or say, she knows. She must be a very wise ghost. Really, you should admire such a ghost. The next time she appears, bargain with her. Tell her that she knows so much, and that if she will answer you one question, you promise to break your engagement. What is the question I must ask her? Inquired the man. The master replied, take a large handful of soybeans and ask her exactly how many beans you hold in your hand. If she cannot tell you, you will know she is only a figment of your imagination. The next night, when the ghost appeared, the man flattered her and told her that she knew everything. Indeed, replied the ghost, and I know you went to see that Zen master today. And since you know so much, demanded the man, tell me how many beans I hold in this hand. There was no longer any ghost to answer the question.
One evening, as it grew dark, 10 pilgrims came to a little inn. We have walked all day, they said, and we must rest. Can you give us supper and a place to sleep? 10 monks embarked on an arduous pilgrimage to a faraway holy city.
They had to carefully make their way across a roaring river surrounded by jagged rocks. When they finally reached the other side, the leader decided to count everyone to ensure safety. He lined them up and started to count. When he counted the last head, he discovered 9 men. He asked each pilgrim to count. Each one only counted 9, confirming one was lost. A wise stranger came upon the scene and discreetly asked what had happened. "We were 10, but now one brother has been lost in the river," said the leader. The stranger quickly noticed by his count there were indeed 10 pilgrims present. He asked, "Sir, would you please count everyone again just to make sure?" "Yes," replied the leader, counting aloud, 1, 2, 8, and 9. "Oh, alas, one is gone." "But sir," said the stranger, "you have forgotten to count yourself." And so, the 10th man was found. Heaven and hell. A proud and brash samurai approached a Zen master meditating. Impatient and discourteous, the samurai yelled, "Tell me the nature of heaven and hell." The Zen master replied with scorn, "Why should I answer a shabby, disgusting, despondent slob like you? A worm like you? Do you think I should tell you anything? Get out of my sight." The samurai could not bear these insults. Consumed by rage, he drew his sword. Looking straight into the samurai's eyes, the Zen master tenderly declared, "That is hell." The samurai froze. He understood that anger had him in its grip. His mind had created his own hell, filled with resentment, hatred, and fury. He realized he was so deep in torment, ready to kill somebody. The samurai's eyes filled with tears. Setting his sword aside, he bowed in gratitude. The Zen master gently acknowledged with a delicate smile, "And that is heaven." Learn from that dog. A Zen master and his disciples went to bathe in a river. After bathing, the master came out, and all his disciples gathered around him. A disciple asked him, "Dear master, what should I do to realize Zen?" The master said, "Learn from that dog," pointing to one laying by the river. The disciple was greatly disappointed and angry that the master had ignored his question. Then he asked, "Oh, master, what can I learn from a dog?" The master walked on for some time without saying anything. The disciple persisted, "I don't want to learn from that dog. Please tell me, master." The master then pointed to another dog that was eating scraps on the road. "Then learn from this dog." "You are making fun of me, master. What can I learn from a dog? All it does is eat and sleep." "I have come in search of you, only to become free from that." "You also eat and sleep," said the master, and walked into his hut. The disciple stood frozen in shock. "Release your cows." One day, after the Buddha and monks finished eating lunch mindfully together, a farmer, very agitated, came by. "Monks, have you seen my cows? I don't think I can survive so much misfortune." The Buddha asked him what happened, and the man said, "Monks, this morning all 12 of my cows ran away. And this year my whole crop of sesame plants was eaten by insects." The Buddha said, "Sir, we have not seen your cows. Perhaps they have gone in the other direction." After the farmer went off in that direction, the Buddha turned to a Sangha and said, "Dear friends, do you know you are the happiest people on earth? You have no cows or sesame plants to lose. We always try to accumulate more and more, and we think these cows are essential. In fact, they may be the obstacles that prevent us from being happy. Release your cows and become a free person. Release your cows so you can be truly happy.